number one. Understand your market. Number two, have a great finance plan. Without the revenue that it takes to run a station, it's just a pipe dream. And then number three, surround yourself with good people who are smarter than you, who can help to guide you, especially when the rough times come.
You are now listening to the BV Mobile Apps Podcast. The show is designed to help you grow your mobile app audience and get advice from experts in your industry. Now, here's your host, Sean Garvey.
Welcome to another special edition of BV Mobile Apps Podcast. I am Sean Garvey, the architect here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I want you all to stay tuned because in just a few moments, we're going to give you more information about BV Mobile Apps, okay? In the meantime, between time, I have a very, very special guest on the telephone lines. And let me just say this before I bring him on. I've been in radio for 16 years, and I've had the pleasure and the opportunity of talking to plenty of radio professionals in the radio industry, some of which I had the opportunity of interviewing, and some I took great advice from. And I just always love talking to radio people. That way they can give me insight on how radio used to be back in the day to now. And I am so delighted to have this gentleman on the telephone line. He is a client of BV Mobile Apps. Not only that, but he is the general manager of the famous KMOJ 89.9 FM in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that was around 43 years ago, which the radio station, the nonprofit community radio station, started, which was on June 22nd, 1976. And he is on the telephone lines to talk more about KMOJ 89.9 FM, and he is also the on-air personality for the morning show, in which you can check out Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on KMOJ FM 89.9 and on KMOJFM.com. I have the one and only Freddie Bell on the telephone line. Freddie Bell, are you with us?
I am here, and thank you for that illustrious introduction. And I would just want to make sure that you understand that I was not there when they started 43 years ago.
No, we don't want to tell the people your real age. No.
Let's just say that one of the guys with the commandments and I were really good friends.
Well, that is nice to know. But it's so happy to know that you are part of the KMOJ family. And we mentioned just a few moments ago, you and another person, your co-host, you all do the morning show from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. I do want to ask you, though, how does it feel to be the general manager for a community radio station that has been around for over 43 years?
Well, it is a heavy mantle to carry, and you just don't want to be the general manager that causes problems for such a station that has had a wonderful legacy in our Twin Cities area. I've done a lot of work in commercial radio stations, and at one point I volunteered years ago for KMOJ. But to come from the commercial arena with having worked with ABC and CBS and to work for a community radio station, it is certainly different. There are some similarities, of course. However, when you have this opportunity to work in a nonprofit radio station with a special FCC license, there is a bigger responsibility because we're really, really targeting in on our community and really super serving an audience the way that no other commercial radio station can. And we have this unique perch of being an urban-based station, playing R&B and hip-hop as a hook to bring people in on the public affairs issues of the day, from health, education, welfare, sex trafficking, and the list goes on. So it's a heavy responsibility, and I'm honored that the board of directors, the Center for Communications and Development, which is our board, asked me to take the helm back in 2016.
And congratulations to you on that. Just by listening to that piece of information there, I noticed that me and you have similarities in the radio industry. Like I said, I've been in radio for 16, going on 17 years. And I, of course, started out in radio volunteering at a nonprofit community radio station in Atlanta. And then from there, I went on to work at several commercial radio stations to where at this point I have my own online radio station. But before my radio career began, there were so many things that I wanted to do. Was radio something that you always wanted to do, or did you want to dabble into other things outside of radio broadcasting?
Well, radio was my first love, and I didn't realize that you could have a career in radio. I went to college to be a medical technician. And after not doing so well with the introductory class, I was really contemplating what my career would look like as I was in college. And I happened to stumble into a building. I went down the stairs and I saw a radio studio. And there was a gentleman standing at the bottom of the stairs, and I asked him, why would the college have a radio station? He goes, oh, we teach this. And from that point, I changed my career, my college career, the focus, and started majoring in radio and television broadcast journalism. And my first real career, my first professional job was in television as a television news reporter, and I later became an anchorman in the Midwest. So I made a conscious decision after being in television for about 10 years that my focus would move from there to radio. But in those days, I was one of the first to do radio and television at the same time. I worked for a 100,000 watt, not a clear channel company, but a clear channel radio station with 100,000 watts urban, and also with ABC News Television, the affiliate in Nebraska. So I was doing those two things at the same time, and that was a conscious decision to be in television at that point. But over time, I decided that my focus would be in radio after about 10 years of being in television. So it was a decision, a clear decision to focus in on that aspect of my career.
89.9 FM KMOJ started or was founded on June 22nd, 1976, which wasn't that long ago, years after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And you are in the cuffs, your station was in the cuffs of the Black Panther Party movement, the Black movement era for social justice and for social change. And the mission of KMOJ lives up to that, where the goals are to educate and engage people in the Black community to reinstate the affirmative Black image. What are the other goals that KMOJ carry to its listeners?
They hear us on the air and they think it's a wonderful thing, and then they get inside the station and they choose to do like you did, to volunteer with the radio station, and then they suddenly find out that it requires work to be a proficient broadcaster, because we become the victims of our own expertise, and then we make it seem so easy and so clear, so comfortable, but a lot of people don't understand the work that goes into preparing a show and to research and to write and to appear glib as you're reading and mask the fact that you're reading from a script in some cases. So we try to train broadcasters as to what the real world is when you're entering the broadcast arena, whether it's radio or television, whether it's production, writing or selling. So all of those things that we do to help young broadcasters. But we also, as I mentioned earlier, we play the music as a hook to talk to people about the issues that are impacting them, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, housing, transportation. All of those are important things. So at KMOJ, there's more than 50 hours a week of just straight public affairs programming that we present to our audiences. So we hook people with the music, hoping to try to engage them to stay long enough to hear about the issues that are impacting them. And that's a big part of the mission that we have with KMOJ, to be that voice for the voiceless, to be that touchstone for those who have no place to reach, and also to be the the lightning rod for proactive change in our communities.
The tagline is the People Station, right? For KMOJ.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The People Station. So it's a station for the people. I understand that you all have a secondary station, which is an HD2 station. For those that don't know HD, high definition, it is dedicated to mainly hip hop music. And the tagline for that station is Minnesota's coldest music. Tell us a little bit more about your secondary station, which is, of course, the sister station to the People Station.
I'm happy to tell you about that. We looked at the demographics and we realized, as you just really pointed out at the outset of this interview, that we were founded in 1976. And so if you take a look at that and you look at the demographics, if you were 25 years old in 1976, well, presently you would be outside of our prime demo or dead. So we wanted to do something to make sure that we captured the entire audience. And we knew that when I came in 2016, I realized that we could not do that just playing straight ahead R&B or adult urban music and expect to maintain our place in the community. So understanding that we're skewing younger, the music is hip-hop today, and there are a lot of stations that are not urban who attempt to play hip-hop. I call it hip-hop because it's not really hip-hop. We decided to bring on an HD2 station. We have 4 signals, 4 HD signals. So we overlaid HD1 on our main signal, the People Station. And we have a straight-ahead HD2 station, which is our hip-hop station. And we're looking to target people who are 6 to 18. That is the sweet spot. We're looking to target that audience and have them grow up with us as they did with the People Station back in 1976. So from a couple of years ago forward, we're trying to grow that audience with the same mission that we started out with in 1976, to teach young broadcasters how to do this business and also to talk about the issues of the day. And I'll give you a quick example.
Sure.
If I'm talking about health care on the People Station, we might be talking about Medicare or your Medicare supplement or retirement. When I talk about health care on the hip-hop station, the ICE is what we call it, Minnesota's coldest music, we might be talking about making sure that you get benefits if you happen to get a job and you enter the workforce, so that when you do retire some 40 years later, 50 years later, whatever the case might be, that you have something that's in place for you. So we're talking about health care as that example shows on both stations, but from completely 2 different points of view. And that helps to satisfy the license that we have. So Minnesota's coldest music, the ICE, really bespeaks where we are. We're in Minnesota. And we played around with the idea of calling it the Box. And I was in Atlanta at the opening of the Mercedes Dome, by the way. And, how people get together. And we said, well, what do you do? And we share our different backgrounds. And I told an individual that I was from Minnesota, and he literally shivered and said, whoa, that's cold. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? We're not the Box anymore. We're the ICE, Minnesota's coldest music. Today's urban hip-hop. And that's where it was born. So being in Atlanta, in one of the hotter parts of the country, and going back to Minnesota, that's what spawned the idea and the tagline for the ICE for our hip-hop station. And we're doing quite well with it right now.
Wow, it has a nice ring to it. I like that. For those who are just tuning in, we are talking to Freddie Bell. He is the general manager of KMOJ 89.9 FM in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the BV Mobile Apps podcast is a podcast used to empower people on how to start their business, how to make their brand better, and to pass the knowledge on to other people that are trying to make it in the industry, whether it's the music industry, the television industry, or even the radio industry. And speaking of the radio industry, you have multiple of different types of radio stations, like community radio station, in which the one that you have, of course, known as KMOJ. And there are so many community radio stations out there. What are the top 3 tips that you would give to other community radio stations around the country?
The top 3, understand your market, number 1. It makes no sense to put up a community radio station without knowing the market that you're intending to serve. Number 2, have a great finance plan. Without the revenue that it takes to run a station, it's just a pipe dream. And then number 3, surround yourself with good people who are smarter than you, who can help to guide you, especially when the rough times come.
Now, let me ask you, because you have been a very important asset to the radio station as a general manager. How has the station grown since you've been there, since you have been a part of this huge family?
That's a bigger question than what you realize. And I'll be very delicate with this. The station, the only reason that you and I are talking today is because the station was going through some difficult times, and our board was looking for new leadership. And so I came in at that time, and I inherited a station, quite frankly, that was in a bit of trouble. And from all aspects, whatever you would think of, we're having issues in those areas. And so my job was, number 1, to change the culture, number 2, to right the ship, and number 3, put the station on a path for growth that would be sustainable, that would be able to attract people who would want to contribute and be a part of this radio station, and also contribute to attract people who wanted to continue their career or intern with us, volunteer with us, or be a part of our essential crew who are our paid employees. It was a difficult task, and so that was in March of 2016. Since that time, the station has experienced 171% growth since the time that I took over back in March of 2016. We have a great mix of underwriting support and also grant support, which is critical to the survival of a radio station. And we're attracting top talent to help with the core business of from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., the core hours of our radio station, and also the weekend crew. We have a very strong weekend crew, and I mentioned the 50 hours a week of public affairs programming. That's been rock solid for years. So pulling all of that together, changing the culture to reflect the goals and aspirations of the radio station, and then shoring up the financial picture, it's been a big task, but that has been the work, if you will, for the last 3+ years since I've been at the helm of KMOJ.
So I got to ask you something, because like I said earlier, you and I have the same similarities when it comes to radio. I am a general manager of my own online radio station, and I do host a morning show called the Beat Break Morning Show, 6 to 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. You do a morning show, and you are a general manager at KMOJ 89.9. How do you juggle both of them, and which one is the most challenging?
Well, I host the morning shows. It's a strategic move on my part. One is to add stability, because I have intended to be here for a little while. So when I first came back to the station, the first year that I was there, I was volunteering, and then they paid me after a little bit just to host the morning show. And then when I was named as a general manager, I continued in that role, and for 2 reasons. One, for stability, and then 2, to understand what our announcers and broadcasters were experiencing firsthand. So, for example, if a computer was malfunctioning, or if there was something that we could do better, I would be able to see it first and be able to tackle that, because I'm living exactly what our broadcasters are living. But my day starts at 2:30 in the morning. It takes about 30 minutes to get to the station, so I'm arriving around 3:30, 3:45 the mornings that I do the shows. I do the shows, and then after that, I put on the administrative hat, and I'm physically at the station until maybe 3:30 in the afternoon, but my work does not stop until I'm falling asleep around 7 or 8 o'clock at night after having started earlier that morning. But it requires a real focus in order to do that. So when I'm doing the morning show, I'm just doing the morning show. I'm focused in just on that aspect of the job. Once that's over with, then I'm handling the administrative portion. I'm directing my staff of underwriters and underwriting managers, the business officers, my program directors, and all the 4 pillars of a radio station to make sure that each touch point is operating at the highest efficiency and at the most efficiency that we possibly can in order to serve the community.
Wow.
So that keeps me close to the fire.
Wow. See, you have a love for radio so much. We have such a love for radio. It's almost like we love doing it all day and all night. There's no rest for the weary. So
that's true.
Yeah. How can one volunteer at KMOJ?
One, raise your hand and indicate that you have a desire to service. You fill out an application, and then we try to measure what your interests are and see if there's a way that we can match it up with the opportunities that we have for volunteerism. It could be simply a street team, which is very important to really hit the streets and at the grassroots level of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It could be maybe you have a talent or a gift, and I believe everyone has a gift that they can share when they come to our radio station. Some may not realize that they even have a gift, and it's my job to try to figure out what it is that they can bring to the radio station to share with us, and then we try to share ours with them as well. So it's a two-way street. So maybe there's a person who has a digital background. Maybe there's a person who has an editing expertise, or someone who's an organizer or an event planner, someone who's great with the analytics, who can learn and try to understand the business of radio. Perhaps there's an expertise in being a salesperson or an underwriter for our radio station. So there are many aspects, but we try to screen in rather than screen out. You can go anywhere and be screened out, but our job is to try to screen in. We have more than 100 volunteers who help us in many, many different aspects of the radio station, but only 6 paid staff at the radio station. So we have a lot of people that we're interacting with, and all of those people are critical. And the key is just to have that want to want to serve with us.
The reason why I asked that question is because I think it's so important for people, young people, to take advantage of the opportunity that is presented to them when they get their feet in the door at a radio station. I know how hard it is to even get your foot inside a radio station because of all the politics and the channels that you have to go through. But young people out there, if you have a love or passion, or if you are aspiring to be a radio personality or a program director, and whatever position you see yourself in the radio industry, volunteer at a nonprofit community radio station. It would definitely help you in the long run. Now, before we let you go, Freddie, talk to us really quick about the mobile app. Of course, you have a partnership with BV Mobile Apps. Talk to our listeners how the mobile app has helped your station.
Well, it's a game changer. The mobile app, and I got to say the BV Mobile team is second to none in terms of being able to help us to achieve the goals of putting the radio station in the hands of the people who are end users. It was mainly brought in to support the work that we're doing on the ice, Minnesota's coldest music, because we know that people consume music and information on the go. So we needed to put that information that we have in their hands, and BV Mobile has helped us to do that. So now not only can you listen terrestrially to a radio station that broadcasts terrestrially, but we are also online We're also in your hand, we're in your pocket, we're in your car. And your mobile app not only does that, but it helps us to see the music that we're playing. So with the metadata that comes through, you can see that we're playing Cardi B. You can see that we've got Migos and so forth. And we've mirrored that on both stations. So the app helps us. We have both of our radio stations on one app, and we can put multiple radio stations on that singular app. It's just a wonderful boost to us. It looks as if it's our very own, which it is. We own the app. But the backbone of it is what BV Mobile has brought to the table, and we're really excited about the relationship that we have with your company. Without it, I think we'd be a weak sister. We would definitely be the fourth horse in a 6-horse race, because we'd be lagging that far behind. Right now, we are where we should be at the head of the pack, because we're finally up to date with today's technology, and we thank you for that.
Nice, absolutely. Well, hey, I know you gotta go. You got another busy day at the office tomorrow. I know you gotta go. I mean, we could spend another hour talking about radio. We're gonna have to do a part 2 on it and talk about the new era of radio and where FM and AM radio is heading, moving forward in the 21st century. But of course, before we let you go, you got to give out the contact information for people that want to learn more information about your station. And go ahead and share that with us, your contact information. Where can people follow you on social media?
Well, if you'd like to reach out to us, the easiest way, because there's so many different ways of spelling the word Freddie or the name Freddie. So I'll just share with you. It's just simply info, INFO, at KMOJFM.com. You can visit our website, KMOJFM.com, or go to the Google or Apple Play Store and download the app and be a part of us that way. There's so many different ways, thanks to BV Mobile, that you can get in contact with us. But that is the easiest, info at KMOJFM.com, or visit our website, KMOJFM.com, and you'll see us right there.
And also, before we officially let you go, we got to let our listeners know that you can donate to KMOJ 89.9 FM. Continue to support the movement. You can go to KMOJFM.com to donate. Is there another link that people can go to donate their contributions to the radio station?
That is the principal link that you've just shared. It is our website, and there's a big fat button there that says donate, and you can donate at any level. And we're excited, because if you have $5 that you'd like to donate to KMOJ on a consistent basis, we appreciate that. And when you do that, you get an email directly from me. It's not a robo email. It's an email from me thanking you and for your contribution of your time and your resources to help us to continue to serve our community. So simply just go to KMOJFM.com, click on donate, and just follow your nose, so to speak. And we appreciate anything that you can do to help us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Freddie Bell from KMOJ 89.9 FM. You can check him out Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. with his co-host Chantel, and it's called The Morning Show. You can check it out exclusively on KMOJ 89.9 FM, and that's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Time.
That's right, Central Time. A big 4-hour show with Freddie Bell and Chantel Things in the morning.
So thank you so much, Freddie Bell. We really appreciate you for calling in to the BV Mobile Apps Podcast. Much success to you, and continue to be one of the most hardest working people in radio.
And thank you for having us. I really enjoyed the time being with you today.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, it has been my time, but you can send your emails to podcast@bvmobileapps.com. Send us your feedback, questions, concerns, and let us know what you think about the podcast. That's podcast with an S at the end at bvmobileapps.com. And you can also follow me on all your social media at Sean Garvey on Facebook, Sean Garvey ATL on Instagram and on Twitter. Until then, this has been the BV Mobile Apps Podcast. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.
It's a new year. It's a new day. We're starting it over. Starting the day.
Thank you for listening to the BV Mobile Apps Podcast with your host, Sean Garvey. For more information about BV Mobile Apps, visit the website, bvmobileapps.com. Don't forget to follow BV Mobile Apps on social media at BV Mobile Apps. Tune in again next time on the BV Mobile Apps Podcast.